I know what's going on around me with a radius of blocks around here. That's what it's like being born in the city.
Well, supposedly after the one legendary like 5005 squad got busted, because that was up on Chester Ave, which isn't that far from here. That guy Cabby stayed in here, but Doom told me that that's the shack specifically that him and Cabby were staying in, and Cabby had brought a cat with him. That was a cat that they had at 5005, and that they were staying inside that building over there in a little Marlboro tent, and it snowed real bad, so they had a hard time getting in and out of here, so one time they just killed the cat and ate it. Yeah, this abandoned van is only like a year old. I wonder what the backstory is of how it got here, but it's like everything else here. You just show up one day and it's here. See, I personally consider what the oil refinery is, as far as like what property constitutes the oil refinery, as being from the Grace Ferry Bridge to 49th Street right over there to the railroad tracks to the river.
There's an aesthetic, there's a whole visual aesthetic that goes with it that's like, not just with style of dress, but, kind of like, there's kind of an artistic style or flair to it, minimal and, like with stencil lettering and everything is black and white, and like, because actually a story is funny that relates to that really directly. It was like, I remember the kids that were living at Happy House at that time, when I was living there, going over to 5005, and my whole thing in those days was I was into this kind of like Dadaist punk rock look, where it would be like you wear the most obnoxious, brightest colors that you can find, and like, like kind of more the Johnny Rotten style than the Sid Vicious style punk, Like I was like, I'd have like the middle of my head shaved and a green hair on that side and red hair on that side, and I'd have like a flowery kind of shirt and like, whatever. And but we would go over to a place like that, and those guys just were so offended by that style. Like, they were just like, what are you so happy about, pussy? You know what I mean? Like, this is bullshit, And until they kind of found out that I was, like, friends with some people that lived there, it seemed like they were going to kick my ass, you know what I mean? And same way with my friends from that house, because we were kind of the oddball, like, misfit characters on the squatter scene. And then, like, that real rank and file kind of, like, all black patchwork, like, facial tattoo, carrying a knife kind of, like, squatter guy was just like, this is bullshit. Like, why, you know what I mean? Like, because bright colors equal happiness, you know what I mean? Like, or something like that, So that was kind of their aesthetic or whatever, and it was pretty militant, Everybody has those, like, squatter, like, train hopping, traveling names or whatever. Like, there's, like, some guy Mouse and Micah and, God, I can't remember, There's a whole bunch of different people that always have names like that.
I am Sharon, Eric's mother. Well, I am.
Well, not Eric's mother. Boo's mother.
Oh, I'm sorry, Boo's mother.
That's better.
Okay. Well, him, I always knew he was going to do whatever the hell he wanted to do and he could take care of himself. He would always bounce back no matter what. He was just, I knew that from when he was really little. Well, in the beginning, when I heard he was hopping trains, that really bothered me.
15, 16, around there somewhere.
Yeah, at first it really bothered me, but then when he came back, I knew he could do this kind of thing, and that's what he needed to do to release whatever.
You got more receptive to that stuff too when you met other people that.
Yeah, that's true too. But initially, it really worried me.
We used to go back when Casey had a car back then. We would go on like shoplifting raids out in Montgomery County. You know, we'd all drive out there, and I would point everybody in the direction of where everything was that they could go and like rampage and steal. Then we'd stop off.
And I'd cook dinner, and they'd bring me things.
Yeah, she did accidentally on purpose make me lose collecting SSI.
I made him go back to work.
As a minor, they gave it to me, and then when I turned 18, I was getting like $500 a month checks. And then I was supposed to. They were like, "He's not taking his medication. He has a streak. You got to do this whole review packet." And she just blew off doing the review packet so that I would lose it, so I'd have to go get a job. So she didn't want me being lazy.
My name's Robin. From, I guess you could say, Detroit area. Hello? See a bike there. Seeing and being around transient culture wasn't that much of a jump because my parents moved like twice a year when I was like between the ages of like 3 to like 15. So I was pretty much used to like picking up whatever you had left and then moving on again. Yeah, I bet none of this is nice for our lungs, but we'll be alright for right now, I suppose. Before I'd like only had factory jobs, fast food jobs, and to say the least, they're spiritually degrading, if not like emotionally degrading or physically degrading. You had to be a robot to do those jobs. When you can dodge it like that by just opting out, I think it makes it worthwhile for anybody who's looking for some kind of alternative, even if it's a temporary alternative, as like most squats are. Hello? Hello? Anybody here? What's going on? Hello? Well, there's usually, that one over there's a trash room. Well, I found ways of making money that weren't as spiritually degrading. I mean, right now, most of the time I make my money doing medical studies, clinical participant or whatever the proper term for that is. I take drugs for the pharmaceutical company, and I contribute to that mechanism, but ultimately biology is another mechanism, and there's a lot of other mechanisms that you can't necessarily avoid. So I bought into that simply because, well, most of my time I spend at these places are my time, so